It's working. I think it's working. I'm early to my own stream. Let's see how it's going. If you can see me and hear me, please get in the chat. We're doing things a little bit differently today. Yo, what up? Yes. Okay. So we're just going to bop around in Appendices B through F today. I'm hoping you can see me, chat, and the book, right? Yo. So, okay, amazing. It's working. I love this. Insert Anakin. It's working. It's working. Yes, let's go. Okay. So, we've got the Tale of Years here. We've got the Third Age. This is going to be kind of a Hobbit-focused look at these appendices because after Appendix A, we can reliably count on a majority of the information having come from the hobbits. So we're just going to talk about that stuff, and we're not doing Appendix E because I don't have time for all that. Fabulous. I'm glad y'all are here. Thank you for confirming that it's working. So I have some highlight in here. Pardon me if I tend to just focus on that stuff, but we'll work our way through the Third Age, which were the fading years of the Eldar. For long they were at peace, wielding the three rings while Sauron slept and the one ring was lost. But they attempted nothing new, living in memory of the past. The dwarves hid themselves in deep places, guarding their hoards. But when evil began to stir again and dragons reappeared, one by one their ancient treasures were plundered, and they became a wandering people. Moria for long remained secure, but its numbers dwindled until many of its vast mansions became dark and empty. The wisdom and the lifespan of the Númenóreans also waned as they became mingled with lesser men. Appendix E is the one with the translation, like all of the Tengwar characters and stuff. I don't need to get into all that. I am no linguist. When maybe 1,000 years had passed and the first shadow had fallen on Greenwood the Great, the Astari, or wizards, appeared in Middle-earth. It was afterwards said that they came out of the far west and were messengers sent to contest the power of Sauron and to unite all those who had the will to resist him, but they were forbidden to match his power with power or to seek to dominate elves or men by force and fear. They came, therefore, in the shape of men, though they were never young and aged only slowly, and they had many powers of mind and hand. They revealed their true names to few, but used such names as were given to them. The two highest of this order, of whom it is said there were 5, were called by the Eldar Curunir, the man of skill, and Mithrandir, the grey pilgrim, but by men in the north, Saruman and Gandalf. Curunir journeyed often into the east, but dwelt at last in Isengard. Mithrandir was closest in friendship with the Eldar, and wandered mostly in the west, and never made for himself any lasting abode. Ooh, a stone doomed to rolling? Is that how he phrased it? I love it. Never made for himself any lasting abode. The Grey Pilgrim indeed. Throughout the Third Age, the guardianship of the three rings was known only to those who possessed them. But at the end, it became known that they had been held at first by the 3 greatest of the Eldar, Gil-galad, Galadriel, and Círdan. Gil-galad, before he died, gave his ring to Elrond. Círdan later surrendered his to Mithrandir. For Círdan saw further and deeper than any other in Middle-earth, and he welcomed Mithrandir at the Grey Havens, knowing whence he came and whither he would return. Take this ring, master, he said, for your labors will be heavy, but it will support you in the weariness that you have taken upon yourself. For this is the ring of fire, and with it you may rekindle hearts in a world that grows chill. But as for me, my heart is with the sea, and I will dwell by the gray shores until the last ship sails. I will await you. I fucking love Círdan so much, dude. Oh, he rules. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. In 1050, we get the first mention of hobbits. The Parainath are first mentioned in records with the coming of the Harfoots to Eriador. Yeah, Círdan also a strong contender for the oldest living elf in Middle-earth. Like, he's the coolest. I fucking love that guy. I'm really excited to read this Silmarillion. I started dipping back in and like dipping a toe in when I was in the sauna at my hotel on my business trip. I'm so excited, y'all. Old as balls. All right. 100 years later, the Fallowhides enter Eriador. The Stores come over the Redhorn Pass and move to the Angle or to Dunland. And then, in 1300, about like 250 years later, the Parainath migrate westward. Many settle at Bree. And then a little while later, the Stores leave the Angle and some return to Wilderland. Yeah, in the sauna. SH turned me on to reading in the sauna. Not good for books, good for me. Really enjoy that. Makes the time fly. Sauna reading is excellent. I want to get one of those little hats, like the little felt hats, and you can dip it in cold water. And then just really try not to get your book wet. Seems like a fun challenge. All right. So I'm so bad at math. 250 years later, many Parainath migrate from Bree and are granted land beyond Baranduin by Argeleb II, which, again, the name Argeleb, come on. That's some silliness. And then 30 years later, the Stores come on. A bunch of stuff happens. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. In 2436, Deagle the Store finds the One Ring and is murdered by Smeagol. So 2436. Let's have a little note of that. I'm literally going to write it down. Just casually tracking how old Gollum is. Don't mind me. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Ooh, the old Took dies in 2920. Rest in peace, big man. I've never been good at math in this economy or otherwise. Aragorn, son of Arathorn, born on March 1st. I guess he's a Pisces. The worst part of me really wants to do a zodiac chart for Middle-earth, but like do it properly. I wonder if anyone has. Someone probably has, right? Let's see. Bilbo returns to Shire with the ring in 2942. Oh yeah, so Gollum's like 500 and something years old. God damn. Yeah, okay. Someone absolutely has. I fully believe I need it. I need to see it. Okay. I love 2954 Mount Doom bursts into flame again. Come on. Aragorn meets Gandalf and their friendship begins. Let's go. See, I love that all of this is in here. Their friendship begins. That's an important plot point. I love it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We've got notes about the story of Aragorn and Arwen in here. Friendship. Yes. 3001, it starts going down. Ah. Okay, yeah. And then the Great Years is when shit really hits the fan. That's is when we're in The Lord of the Rings. Imagine if Aragorn and Gandalf didn't get along. Honestly, a sitcom I would watch. Maybe that's what The Hunt for Gollum could be. I wish. So yeah, this is when Gandalf gets Shadowfax. On September 20th, Theoden commands him to go when he gains entrance to Edoras. The ambiguous wording there is pretty funny. He like sneaks right in, and Theoden's like, take any horse, just fucking leave. So Gandalf takes Shadowfax. Or he tries to anyway. He follows him far over the fields. Finally, on September 23rd, Frodo leaves Bag End. Takes him forever to get to Rivendell. Yeah, October 20th. So just under a month. Not that long. Never mind, Frodo. Sorry, bud. I think the 22nd is his birthday, right? Yeah, September 22nd is Frodo and Bilbo's birthday. Right? This is the other thing, is I would love to figure out when everyone's birthdays are. Whose birthdays are it? Because like Aragorn's birthday's in here, March 1st. We know Frodo and Bilbo, September 22nd. Virgo, Libra, cusp. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this very much. And I think we could figure out when Pippin's birthday is. I think he says some shit to Bergil that we could like guess. I think he's also early March. I would need to look. But like Mary and Sam, I have no fucking idea. I don't know when Gimli's birthday is. I don't know when Legolas's birthday is. Whose birthdays are it? I want to figure it out. All right. Yeah, we know all of this. We've seen all of this. Let's get to the after. Let's get to after the War of the Ring. Thank you, Otaris, for Googling. Okay. Meeting of Celeborn and Thranduil. I'd like to be a fly on that wall. Let's see. So August 15th is when Tweebield when Tweebield releases Saruman. Okay, I mean, like, actor star charts are pretty good. I would fully take all of that. Put that in the Discord. I want that. But I will make a go at trying to figure out some star charts. We're also going to look at family trees today, fam. That's what I'm really trying to get to here. We're just having a little stroll. Yeah, September 22nd, the 129th birthday of Bilbo. There's a lot of Frodo is taken ill. Frodo is again ill. Frodo is again ill. All up in here, having a very bad time. Yeah. Okay, now we're in the later events concerning the members of the Fellowship of the Ring, where it gets really good. Sam is elected mayor of the Shire for the first time in 1427. Pippin has a kid in 1430. Sam has a daughter in 1431. I think his second. Yeah, Eleanor's first. 1432, Mary becomes master of Buckland, and he gets some great gifts. 2 years later, Pippin becomes the Duke and Thane, and King Elessar makes the Thane the master and the mayor counselors of the North Kingdom. Master Samwise is elected mayor for the second time. In 1436, King Elessar rides north and dwells for a while by Lake Evandene. He comes to the Brandywine Bridge and there greets his friends. He gives the Star of the Dunedain to Master Samwise, and Eleanor is made a maid of honor to Queen Arwen. In 1441, Master Samwise becomes mayor for the third time. In 1448, he becomes mayor for the fourth time. Fucking rips, dude. I love 7 Mayor Samwise. Yeah, 5th time in 1455, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 62 the 6th time. At his request, the Thane makes Fastred, I think that's Sam's son, Warden of Westmarch. Fastred and Eleanor make their dwelling at Undertowers. Oh no, it's Eleanor's boyfriend, husband, whatever. Yeah, husband. Marries Fastred of Greenholm. I can read, I promise. Fastred and Eleanor make their dwelling at Undertowers on Tower Hills, where their descendants, the fair barons of the Towers, dwelt for many generations. Ah, the fair barons. The fair barons of the Towers. Eternal Mayor Samwise Gamgee. Honestly, it rocks. Yeah, cool. Pippin's son marries Sam's daughter. Whips ass. Master Samwise becomes mayor for the 7th and last time in 1469. Nice. At 96 years old in 1469. Damn, dude. Okay, here we go. Unfortunately, in 1482, Rosie passes away. And on September 22nd, Master Samwise rides out from Bag End. He comes to the Tower Hills and is last seen by Eleanor, to whom he gives the Red Book, afterwards kept by the Fair Barons. Among them, the tradition is handed down from Eleanor that Samwise passed the Towers and went to the Grey Havens and passed over the sea, last of the ring-bearers. Another one bites the dust. So that's Frodo and Sam Gonzo. In 1484, Merry and Pippin ride to Rohan and then to Gondor, and they die a little while later. I think their death dates are marked in the family trees, but not here. It's left ambiguous here. Yeah, Sam leaves on Frodo's birthday. That's a thoughtful boy right there. Sam is just down so bad for Frodo at all times. It's crazy. Do we know where Sam got a boat from? From Círdan. Círdan? Sound off if you think I should hit that Dan hard when I say Círdan or Círdan. Yeah, and then 1541, passing of King Elessar. It is said that the beds of Meriadoc and Peregrine were laid beside the bed of the great king, best friends forever. Then Legolas built a grey ship in Ithilien and sailed down Anduin and so over sea, and with him, it is said, went Gimli the dwarf. Because they're boyfriends. And when that ship passed, an end was come in Middle-earth of the Fellowship of the Ring. Banger. Like, even the timeline is well written. It's so good. Okay, Appendix C, family trees. Here we go. Yeah, Círdan. That's how you know he's in trouble. It's his full government name is Círdan. All right, the names given in these trees are only a selection from many, rest assured. Most of them are either guests at Bilbo's farewell party or their direct ancestors. The guests at the party are underlined. A few other names of persons concerned in the events recounted are also given. In addition, some genealogical information is provided concerning Samwise, the founder of the family of Gardner, later famous and influential. The figures after the names are those of birth and death where that is recorded. All dates are given according to the Shire reckoning, calculated from the crossing of the Brandywine by the brothers Marco and Blanco in the year 1 of the Shire, or third age 1601. Sorry, who weren't the gays? The gays are both the first and the last to leave, I think we'll find. All right, so here we are in the Baggins of Hobbiton family tree. Is that readable? Can y'all see that? Because, oh my god, various good bodies. Can we... Some of these names, dude, I can't get over. I can't get past it. Here, I need to move this a little bit. There we go. Can I highlight? No, let me do it. Come on. Anyway, it says various good bodies right here, and I think that's very good. Let's see. We've got Griffo Boffin. Dope. Togo. To go. Togo Goodbody. Parents of, again, various good bodies, which is hysterical to me. Belladonna Tukes over here. Bilbo's mom. Bodo Proudfoot. We got Linda. Oh, Bingo's here. That's good. Bingo and Bungo. And Mungo. I like Moscow, Morrill, Myrtle, and Minto. That's fun. And of course, who could forget dear Philibert Bulger? I live for Hobbit names, dude. Let's go. Okay, so Rosa Baggins married Hildegrim Tugh. Let's keep that in mind. Okay. It's not okay that Linda is in this mix. Right? Like when you got like Sancho and Gorbadoc. What's Linda doing here, honestly? Where did she come from? Is Linda a flower name? All right. Have a look, fam. Who are your favorites? I'm talking about Dina Diggle. And honestly, Gundahar Bulger, for that matter. We got Cora Goodbody in here. We got Gundahad. You've heard of Gundahar? Get ready for Gundahad. What happened with Rudolph? Who knows? Gundolfo clearly had either a favorite or a least favorite child. Okay, sick. All right, Gundabald, nice one. Salvia, okay. How about Haribald? Ooh. Theobald, nice. Fastolf. Rudolph and Fastolf. Adaldria? No. Adaldrida? 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 Rudibert? Rudigar and Ruby? Very cute. I like Belba Baggins. That one's kind of a gimme. Here you go. You know, it's like I always say, wherever you go, here you go. And then we got our boy Fredegar. Brother of Estella who married Meriadoc. That's fun. Lobelia is a flower name indeed. Yeah, basically a bunch of old Germanic names. Theobald is pretty funny. Yeah, Lobelia, Sackville Baggins, Spoon Thief. All right, let's go to the Boffin of the Yale. Boffin of the Yale. Bosco, Basso, Briffo, and Barilla, children of Buffo Boffin, and children of Ivy good enough. Can you imagine a whole family good enough? Whew. Gotta love Otto the Fat as well. That's fun. Lavender Grub. Lavender Grub's kind of a sick name, actually. We got UFO. We got Rolo. Ooh, Rolo Tony. Browntown. Saphira Brockhouse. Okay, here's Lobelia in the Boffin family tree. She married a Sackville Baggins. Distant cousin of Bilbo. Here it is. Okay. Okay, Marks. Linda means like soft or tender and is related to the name of the linden tree. Nice. Thank you. That's great. All right, you gotta love Bufo Boffin. Exactly. Smart and hench. I like Gerda. I love the name Gerda. Gruffo, Griffo, and Tosto. Yeah, Iago, Vigo, Folco. A lot of these names are ones that Tolkien was fucking with early on in his drafting process, and it's always really fun to see them out here. Saradik Brandybuck, Hilda Boffin, Bufo Boffin. Yeah, Ufo's really good. I like Ufo a lot. Okay, Took of Great Smiles, where like the names are ridiculous and the notes are more so. So we've got Isengrim II. He's the 10th Thane of the Took line. We've got Gerontius, the old Took, who had so many fucking kids. Look at all these children. Over the course of 30 years having children. Whoo boy. All right, so Isengrim III, no children. Hildegard died young, unfortunately. Rest in peace, big man. Eisenbra the fourth delivered. He had 14 bra. And Ferenbra the third, who never married. And this is the guy who, because he never married and never had kids, the Thaneship went to Paladin, who had a son. I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. I think that's how that goes. That's a lot of food to get for that big family. Yeah, good thing they have a giant, I think like shared community family home at Great Smiles. I think that's what that is. Anyway. Yeah, okay. So Ferenbra, no good. Hildegrim, Adelgrim, had Paladin, Esmeralda, and then 3 other daughters who don't get to be named. Where are the women? Come on, Adelgrim. But of course, Paladin is Peregrine's dad. Pippin marries a woman called Diamond of Longcleave, which is a sick fucking name. That's like almost a drag name. Diamond of Long Sleeve. And then, yeah, they name their son Faramir, which is really cute. And then Pippin has 3 older sisters called Pearl, Pimpernel, and Provincia, which I'm pretty sure are all flower names. Yeah, Mary's mom is called Esmeralda, which is sick. Cool ass name. Eisenbold had many descendants that we don't get to know about. Hildefons went off on a journey and never returned. So that's fun to read in the Took family tree. Isambard had a bunch of cool children like Flambard, and then grandchildren Adelard, and then we get Reginald. And again, 2 daughters not named. Where are the women? And then Everard. Yeah, okay. The old Took had all these kids with a single wife. Poor woman. Yeah, Adamanta Chubb, braver than any U.S. Marine, I'll tell you. We got Hildebrand. We got Sigismund. Love Sigismund. And then Rosamunda, Ferdinand's in here. Hello, Ferdinand. And then we get Ferdibrand. Very original. Adovikar, Odovicar, Adovikar. So yeah, Fredegar and Merry and Pippin are cousins of some variety. Some kind of distant cousins. But of the same generation. Yeah, and then Donamira married Hugo Boffin and apparently were dinks. Good for them. Mirabella married Gorbadoc Brandybuck, sick fucking name again, who had 6 children plus Frodo's mom, which is how they're related. Again, cousins, but like once removed. I think that's a generational removal is once removed, at least on one side. And then Isengard is said to have gone to sea in his youth, which is, again, went off on a journey and never returned, said to have gone to sea in his youth. There you have it. On to the fucking Brandybucks. Here we go. Gorindad Oldbuck of the Marish began building Brandy Hall in the year 740 and changed the family name to Brandybuck. Here we fucking go. We got Gormadoc Deep Delver and Malva Headstrong. That's what I'm talking about. We got Maddock Proudneck and Hannah Goldworthy. All of these names go so fucking hard, dude. Like, Gundabad Bulger, we've seen him before. Married Salvia. Love. Sadek. Merrick. Yeah, Gorbadoc Broadbelt, sick fucking nickname, Mirabella Took. The Lady of Hildebrand. Very good. Ugh, so many little Tolkien Easter eggs in here, and I'm not smart enough to know most of them. Yeah, letter 214, Pearl Took, responsible for the death of Lalia Took. Who knows? It was an accident. Yeah. So good. Gundabald, father of Gundamwing. Very good. Very good. All right. Rory Mac Goldfather or Old Rory. Again, just sick. Menegilda Gould. Menegilda Gould. Hello, I'm Menegilda Gould. Asphodel. Denotus. Orgulus. Gorbulus. Marmadas. Marimus Mentham Melilit. Melilit. Should have left that one alone. We love Doderic. Always happy to see Doderic in here. Ilberic and Celandine. Right? That's not a hard C, is it? Saradas, Saradic. And then Saradoc Scattergold is Mary's dad. Again, sick name. Mary's the Magnificent. Again, sick fucking name. And then Mary Mac and Berilac. That's cute. Oh, maybe Saradoc kind of named his son after his brother. That's kind of cute. Oh, all right, that's in the headcanon now. And now we get the Longfather tree of Master Samwise. I love the Longfather tree. There's something like very horny about that. I don't know. I love it. Good for you, Sam. You had so many fucking kids. It's giving old Took. Fuck. Hamfast of Gamwich. A sandwich shop? Ooh. I would open a sandwich shop and just the sandwiches, the names are only taken from this page of the book. Again, Wise Man Gamwich. I can imagine that. That sandwich has turkey on it. Hob Gamage the Roper, or Old Gamagee. Hobson Roper Gamgee. This is so confusing. I love it. And Wise Roper of Tyfield. And then, yeah, Hamfast. That's Sam's dad. Yeah. Oh, Samwise mom is called Belle Goodchild. That's cute. May. Just May. Okay, so Sam is one of 6. That tracks. And then has 13 kids. Hanson joined his uncle the Roper. Halfred moved to North Farthing. May and May. Here we go. Marigold. And then, okay, here we have the Cottons. Nice. All right, let's get in here. Let's fucking crank one. Yes. Okay. All right. So Cotter, Cotman, and Carl. Carl's here, everyone. And then we've got Holman Cotton or Long Hom. Everyone calls me Long Hom. Tolman Cotton or Tom Cotton. And then Will Cotton. So Tom Cotton is Rose's dad. Rose's brother Tolman, also called Tom, marries Sam's sister. Yeah. And then there's a son called Wilcom or Jolly, Bowman or Nick, and another Carl or Nibs. So that's straightforward. And then, yeah, Sam names his kids Eleanor, Frodo, Rose, Mary, Pippin, Goldilocks, Hamfast, Daisy, Primrose, Bilbo, Ruby, Robin, and Tolman or Tom. Welcome at Wilkins. You're always welcome at Wilkins. But you can call me Jolly. Jolly good Wilcom. So yes, Eleanor the Fair married Fastford of Greenholm, as we learned, and they removed to the West March, a country then newly settled, being a gift of King Elessar, between the Far Downs and the Tower Hills. From them came the Fair Bairns of the Towers, wardens of Westmarch, who inherited the Red Book and made several copies with various notes and later additions. Okay, all right. We're going to kind of pitter patter around now that we have gone through the family trees, because there's like a few little passages I think I want to read, but I also just want to look at some stuff that makes me giggle and always has, like this page of the calendar and what the months are called, right? So after Yule, that makes sense. Christmas is called Yule, I suppose. Soul math, dope. February, soul math, cool. Reth, March, Retha, into that. Sounds vaguely pagan. I can get behind that. Astron for April, dope. And then we get to Thrimmage. Oh, what's May? It's Thrimmage. Thrimmage. And then we have Forlythe, which is June. Mid-Year's Day is Overlythe. Okay, cool. And then we have Afterlife. Very straightforward. That's July. We have Wedmath, which is August. Kind of dope. After Soul Math, I guess we get Wedmath. Again, Hallimath, September. Dope. And then in October, what do we have? Winterfilth. Winterfilth. I love that. Why? Winterfilth. The word filth does a lot of work for me, I think. And then November is Blot Math, also dope, kind of visceral in a way. Really enjoy the mouthfeel of Blot Math. And then For Yule, again, very straightforward. You got your For Yules and you got your After Yules. You got your Forlides and you got your Afterlides. Okay, that's all well and good. And then you got your Winterfilth. Winterfilth is my death metal band. I called it. You can have it. Mine is going to be called Thrimmage and the Wedmath. Okay, this I enjoy because I suspect it's contributed by Marriott Brandybuck, who strikes me as just the most fun kind of insufferable pedant. So yeah, I'm just going to read some little bits, I think, right? Yeah. All right, the calendar in the Shire differed in several features from ours. The year no doubt was of the same length, for long ago, as those times are now reckoned in years and lives of men, they were not very remote according to the memory of the earth. It is recorded by the hobbits that they had no week when they were still a wandering people, and though they had months, governed more or less by the moon, their keeping of dates and calculations of time were vague and inaccurate. What a life! What a life! What a luxury! I want to never have any conception of what time it is. I barely have any conception of time just now. I would love for there to be no structure around it so I don't feel so bad about it all the time. Ugh. Fucking love hobbits, man. In the westlands of Eriador, when they had begun to settle down, they adopted the king's reckoning of the Dunedain. Oh, what time is it? I'm using the king's, which was ultimately of Eldarin origin, but the hobbits of the Shire introduced several minor alterations. Of course they did. This calendar, or Shire reckoning as it was called, was eventually adopted also in Bree, except for the Shire usage of counting as year one, the year of the colonization of the Shire, or 1601, I think, in regular uh, reckoning of the Dunedain. Yeah, back to the names of the months, they're pretty descriptive compared to our names, where the ninth, 12th months are called 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th in Latin. Yeah, which is hysterical. Like, why did we do that? It doesn't make any sense. All right. It is often difficult to discover from old tales and traditions precise information about things which people knew well and took for granted in their own day, such as the names of letters, or the days of the week, or the names and lengths of months. But owing to their general interest in genealogy, and to the interest in ancient history which the learned amongst them developed after the War of the Ring, the Shire hobbits seem to have concerned themselves a good deal with dates, and they even drew up complicated tables showing the relations of their own system with others. I am not skilled in these matters, and may have made many errors, but at any rate the chronology of the crucial years, Shire reckoning 1418, 1419, is so carefully set out in the Red Book that there cannot be much doubt about days and times at that point. All right, so this is Tolkien speaking here, but I think he's referencing material that would have been contributed by one Mary Addock Brandybuck. Colonization of the Shire spiked my heart rate. Yeah, whoa, jump scare. Okay, so now we're talking about Quenya, the names of the seasons, the Númenóreans, doodle-oodle-oodle-doo. The hobbits were conservative and continued to use a form of king's reckoning adapted to fit their own customs. Their months were all equal and 30 days each, but they had 3 summer days, called in the Shire the Lithe or the Lithe days, between June and July. Is it Lith or Lithe? Because it's spelled lithe, but is it lith? I don't know. The last day that the last day of the year and the first of the next year were called the Yule days. The Yule days and the Lithe days remained outside the months, so that January 1st was the second and not the first day of the year. Yeah, I love the idea of a few special days that don't belong to any month. Me too. I love the very loose conception of time that we're dealing with here. Like, every month is equal. You get a few kind of gimme days in there once in a while. Amazing. Okay. Where was I? Yes, the Lithe days and the Yule days were the chief holidays and times of feasting. The additional Lithe day was added after Mid-Year's Day, and so the 184th day of the leap years was called Overlithe and was a day of special merrymaking. So they have leap years. In full, Yuletide was 6 days long, including the last 3 and the first 3 days of each year. We could just say New Year's Day and leave January 1st for the next one. So true. Like, just leave a couple days after Christmas. Boxing Day, just like leave it. Just give us some breathing space. Yeah, we do need Hobbit times. I couldn't agree more. Okay. Okay. The Shire folk introduced one small innovation of their own, eventually also adopted in Bree, which they called Shire Reform. They found the shifting of the weekday names in relation to dates from year to year untidy and inconvenient. So, in the time of Isengrim II, they arranged that the odd day which put the succession out should have no weekday name. After that, Mid-Year's Day and the Overlithe was known only by its name and belonged to no week. In consequence of this reform, the year always began on the first day of the week and ended on the last day. And the same date in any one year had the same weekday name in all other years, so that Shire folk no longer bothered to put the weekday in their letters or diaries. They found this quite convenient at home, but not so convenient if they ever traveled further than Bree, which is such a funny way of like self-isolating. Like the entire way that you reckon time is very different than like even just the one closest settlement to where your civilization is. Dude, they just can't help. They cannot help it. They don't want it to be untidy and inconvenient. And thus and such, they fucking built a fence of time. Incredible pedantry and laziness at the same time. Yeah, I'm being called out in a public forum, y'all. All right. Doodle-doodle-doo. Not many ancient documents were preserved in the Shire. Yeah, no shit. At the end of the Third Age, the far most notable survival was Yellowskin, or the Yearbook of Tuckborough. Its earliest entries seem to have begun at least 900 years before Frodo's time, and many are cited in the Red Book annals and genealogies. In these, the weekday names appear in archaic forms, of which the following are the oldest. Woo! The weekday names. Starin Day, Sunnin Day, Munnin Day, True's Day, Heaven's Day, Mara's Day, High Day. Pretty cute. Okay, so Stir Day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Heaven's Day, or Hen's Day. Cute. Mer's Day and High Day. All right. I'm into that. I can fuck with that. Anyone down to change the names of the days of the week? Okay, thank you for Friday and High Day. Thank you. I appreciate that, Tolkien. That's very kind. Yeah, the Shire reckoning and dates are the only ones of importance for the narrative of the War of the Ring. All the days, months, and dates are in the Red Book translated into Shire terms or equated with them in notes. The months and days, therefore, throughout the Lord of the Rings refer to the Shire calendar, because of course they do. Yeah, the names are all Wednesday coded without actually including Wednesday. It's so funny. Okay, and this is helpful for anyone trying to like make a comparison between Middle Earth calendar and our calendar. Is the okay, March 25th in Middle Earth, the date of the downfall of the Barad-dûr, would correspond to our March 27th if our years began at the same seasonal point. So it's like a 3-day offset by the time you get to late March, which I think is really interesting because my birthday is March 24th. So either way you slice it, everyone's having a bad day on my birthday in the book. But yeah, it's like a 3-day offset, which I think is interesting. So Tolkien translated the original Westeron names into oldish English names and then replaced those with our modern day names in the story. He couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. It's so sweet. Like, what a fucking nerd, dude. Ugh. It took him so long, too. It took him so long. Oh, he took his time. I love it. God must have spent a little more time on you. Okay, so there is no record of the Shire folk commemorating either March 25th or September 22nd. But in the West Farthing, especially in the country round Hobbiton Hill, there grew up a custom of making holiday and dancing in the party field, when weather permitted, on April 6th. Some said that it was old Sam Gardner's birthday. Okay, we're on to something, fam. We're fucking on to something. Let's have a little look here. Doop. some that it was on the day on which the golden tree first flowered in 1420, and some that it was the elves' new year. Who can say? But that's the closest we're getting to a Sam birthday, I think. I need to have a look. In the Buckland, the horn of the mark was blown at sundown every November 2nd, and bonfires and feastings followed. In sync? Is that in sync? I always felt like that was like 98 degrees or one of the lesser in syncs. I need to look it up. And I forgot to see if death dates are in the family trees. Here we go. No, they are not. Okay, good to know. Okay. So after this, it's Appendix E, which again, we are skipping, as interesting and cool as it might be. But this is the level of nerd shit where, like, he doesn't lose me. I'm interested in the fact that he went so hard as to put all of this in the book. This absolutely whips ass, but like, whew, it's beyond me. It is beyond my power to heal, dog. I can't. I'm not a linguist, as said. There's a reason I'm not a linguist, because I don't understand it. I took a linguistics class in college. I respect linguists. I think they're very intelligent. I bow down to them every day of my life. It ain't for me. You got me, gal. See, look at this. Fucking dwarven runes. My pal was like looking at one of the new Hobbit Magic the Gathering cards, and it was all in the Angerthas. And so he was like using the book to try and translate it. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. That's what I'm fucking talking about. This is so fun. I have a tattoo of this one. I think it's one of these. Whichever one is G. 19. Yeah, this one. All right. Appendix F, the languages and peoples of the Third Age. We're going to jump around a little bit more, and then that's me done here. And we're going to do The Hobbit next week, and I can't wait. I'm very excited to read The Hobbit. I have not ever read it aloud. And I haven't read it in a long time. In an age. Like, I've referenced it for quotes and stuff, but I haven't actually read it in a minute. I'm really excited. Yeah. Okay. We know about elves. We know about men. That's fine. Of hobbits. You know we're going to read of hobbits, and we're going to read the part about Old Entish because it bops. So, the hobbits of the Shire and of Bree had, at this time, for probably 1,000 years, adopted the common speech. They used it in their own manner, freely and carelessly, though the more learned among them still had at their command a more formal language when occasion required. There is no record in any language peculiar to hobbits. In ancient days, they seem always to have used the languages of men near whom or among whom they lived. Thus, they quickly adopted the common speech after they entered Eriador, and by the time of their settlement at Bree, they had already begun to forget their former tongue. Very changeable. This was evidently a mannish language of the Upper Anduin, akin to that of the Rohirrim. Though the southern Stewards appeared to have adopted a language related to Dunlundish before they came north to the Shire. Of these things, in the time of Frodo, there were still some traces left in local words and names, many of which closely resembled those found in Dale or Rohan. Most notable were the names of days, months, and seasons. Several other words of the same sort, such as matham and smile, I know it's supposed to be smeal, but I'll never say it that way, I'm so sorry, were also still in common use, while more were preserved in the place names of Bree and the Shire. The personal names of the hobbits were also peculiar, and many had come down from ancient days. Yeah, that's one way of saying it, peculiar. Hobbit was the name usually applied by Shire folk to all their kind. Men called them halflings and the elves Parayonath. The origin of the word hobbit was by most forgotten. It seems, however, to have been at first a name given to the Harfoots by the Fallowhides and Stewars, and to be a worn-down form of a word preserved more fully in Rohan. Holbitla, Holbitla, Holbitlan, Holbitla, or Hole Builder, Holbitla, Holbitla, Holbitla? I don't know. Parianath. Yeah, and then in Minas Tirith, Pippin gets called Ernil e Parianath, and I'm sure there's some stuff I skipped about the relation between language in Gondor and Numenorian language that was influenced by Elvish, but hey. All right, of other races, here we fucking go. Ents. Ooh. The most ancient people surviving in the Third Age were the Onodrim, or Enid. Ent was the form of their name in the language of Rohan. They were known to the Eldar in ancient days, and to the Eldar indeed the Ents ascribed not their own language but the desire for speech. The language that they had made was unlike all others, slow, sonorous, agglomerated, repetitive, indeed long-winded, formed of a multiplicity of vowel shades and distinctions of tone and quality which even the lore masters of the Eldar had not attempted to represent in writing. They used it only among themselves, but they had no need to keep it secret, for no others could learn it. Ooh. Ents were, however, themselves skilled in tongues, learning them swiftly and never forgetting them, but they preferred the languages of the Eldar and loved best the ancient High Elven tongue. The strange words and names that the hobbits record as used by Treebeard and other Ents are thus Elvish, or fragments of elf speech strung together in Ent fashion. Some are Quenya, as Tare Lilomea, Tumbalemorna, Tumbaletarea, Lomeanor, which may be rendered forest many shadowed, deep valley black, deep valley forested, gloomy land. I love it. And by which Treebeard meant, more or less, there is a black shadow in the deep dales of the forest. Some are Sindarin, as Fangorn, or Beard of Tree, or Fimbrethiel, Slender Beach. Okay, this footnote right here on what I'm going to attempt to read again, the strange words and names that the hobbits record as used by Treebeard and other Ents are thus Elvish, or fragments of elf speech strung together in Ent fashion. Footnote 1. Except where the hobbits seem to have made some attempts to represent shorter murmurs and calls made by the Ents. Ah la 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 rumba kamanda lindor burume also is not Elvish, and is the only extant and probably very inaccurate attempt to represent a fragment of actual Entish. I love this footnote. I love that. Like, where did this come from? Is this Tolkien making a note because he has like other references as to the details of how this language would sound? Anyway, they seem to have made some attempts. Is so shady. That is so fucking funny. I love it. Ugh. Probably very inaccurate. Just an attempt to represent a fragment of actual Entish, like barely giving the merest amount of credit to these hobbits who are like, huh? Yep, got it. Writing down just what they hear and like just transcribing sounds, apparently. The shade, I'm obsessed with it. I love how this book is written. I think it's the best. It's a gift that keeps on giving. It never ceases to entertain me. The footnote might be by Tolkien or by a later Gondorian scribe who worked on Red Book copies like Findegil, King's writer. Indeed. I'm always curious about like, how do they know? You know? Again, I'm not a linguist, so this might be a really stupid conversation that I'm attempting to have, but like, fragments of elf speech strung together in Ent fashion. And then ala la 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 Roomba Commander Lindor Burume. Like, okay. So this is, I guess, how we're getting here is like, this is obviously clearly not Elvish. This is something closer to what it would maybe sound like. So I got myself there, y'all. But it just makes me laugh so much. It's so funny. Like, whoever this footnote is from is a shady lady. And I love it. Like, I think Finnegill must have been very fond of the hobbits after reading and working on the Red Book. I know I certainly am. And I didn't even work on the thing. All right, what else we got? Okay, there's some stuff in here. Yeah, okay. In presenting the matter of the Red Book as a history for people of today to read, the whole of the linguistic setting has been translated as far as possible into terms of our own times. Yeah, this is part 2 of Appendix F on translation. Only the languages alien to the common speech have been left in their original form, but these appear mainly in the names of persons and places. The common speech, as the language of the hobbits and their narratives, has inevitably been turned into modern English. In the process, the difference between the varieties observable in the use of the Westron has been lessened. Some attempt has been made to represent varieties by variations in the kind of English used, but the divergence between the pronunciation and idiom of the Shire and the Westron tongue in the mouths of the elves or of the Hymen of Gondor was greater than has been shown in this book. Okay, that's fair. Again, this is like linguistic nerd shit. I do live. Yeah, hobbits indeed spoke for the most part a rustic dialect, whereas in Gondor and Rohan a more antique language was used, more formal and more terse. So, varieties by variations in the kind of English used, divergence between pronunciation and idiom. Yeah, was greater than has been shown in this book. Yeah, this essentially, like, there was a bigger difference in the story itself while it was happening than is shown in the book. Because the hobbits don't give a shit about how people elsewhere speak until they do, which we'll get to in a second. Yes, okay. So one point in the divergence may here be noted, since, though important, it has proved impossible to represent. The Westron tongue made in the pronouns of the second person, and often also in those of the third, a distinction, independent of number, between familiar and deferential forms. It was, however, one of the peculiarities of Shire usage that the deferential forms had gone out of colloquial use. They lingered only among the villagers, especially of the West Farthing, who used them as endearments. This was one of the things referred to when people of Gondor spoke of the strangeness of hobbit speech. Peregrine Took, for instance, in his first few days at Minas Tirith, used the familiar for people of all ranks, including the Lord Denethor himself. This may have amused the aged steward, but it must have astonished his servants. No doubt this free use of the familiar forms helped to spread the popular rumor that Peregrine was a person of very high rank in his own country. So Pippin's essentially like, hey bro, to anyone and everyone, it does not matter who, because the deferential form of like addressing other people, like I think you have deferential forms in like French and Spanish and Portuguese and stuff, and many other languages. We have them in English as well, like Mr. But yeah, the deferential form fell out of use in the Shire. It's familiar all the way down. So like he just speaks familiarly with everyone, and therefore everyone assumes he's on the same level as people like Denethor, which I just think is very funny. Like that's hysterical. And it's like fucking Pippin, dude. Come on. It will be noticed that hobbits such as Frodo and other persons such as Gandalf and Aragorn do not always use the same style. This is intentional. The more learned and able among the hobbits had some knowledge of book language, as it was termed in the Shire, and they were quick to note and adopt the style of those whom they met. It was in any case natural for much-traveled folk to speak more or less after the manner of those among whom they found themselves, especially in the case of men who, like Aragorn, were often at pains to conceal their origin and their business. Yet, in those days, all the enemies of the enemy revered what was ancient, in language no less than in other matters, and they took pleasure in it according to their knowledge. At least Denethor took it in stride. Yes, Marks, thank fuck for that, right? English has that dilemma where thou sounds fancy and formal today, even though it's supposed to be the opposite. So true, bestie. Ooh, I'm loving this chat today. This is fun. Okay, I'm just going to read the rest of this because I like the discussion. The Eldar, being above all skilled in words, had the command of many styles, though they spoke most naturally in a manner nearest to their own speech, one even more antique than that of Gondor. The dwarves, too, spoke with skill, readily adapting themselves to their company, though their utterance seemed to some rather harsh and guttural. But orcs and trolls spoke as they would, without love of words or things, and their language was actually more degraded and filthy than I have shown it. I do not suppose that any will wish for a closer rendering, though models are easy to find. Much of the same sort of talk can still be heard among the orc-minded, dreary and repetitive with hatred and contempt, too long removed from good to retain even verbal vigor, save in the ears of those to whom only the squalid sounds strong. Oh, he's cooking. He's cooking alliteratively. Verbal vigor. Ooh, the squalid sounds strong. Ooh. Okay. Fucking bars, dude. Let's read this footnote. In one or two places, an attempt has been made to hint at these distinctions by an inconsistent use of thou. Speaking of, since this pronoun is now unusual and archaic, it is employed mainly to represent the use of ceremonious language, but a change from you to thou, thee is sometimes meant to show, there being no other means of doing this, a significant change from the deferential or between men and women normal forms to the whoa, okay. But a change from you to thou, thee is sometimes meant to show, there being no other means of doing this, a significant change from the deferential or between men and women normal forms to the familiar. Okay. All right. Cool. So when he changes you to thou or thee, it's changing from the deferential to the familiar. Yeah, okay. Just sometimes the way he says things is like so spaghetti, and I'm so tired. Yeah, so Tolkien used thou both ways, but usually in the modern understanding as fancy or formal language. Makes a certain amount of sense, right? Like, I think he grasped that, like, that would make the most sense to the most people, but it is fascinating. Like, Ooh, okay. I need to remember why I have this highlighted. I do remember why I have this highlighted, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. Yes, okay. So we hear see Tolkien kind of like talking about how he translates the names because I know for sure Mary's name is Kalimak Brandagamba and Pippin's name is Razanur Took, and I can't remember what Frodo and Sam's names are, but it's like they mostly have similar mouthfeel. I don't know about Razanur though. I don't know where the fuck that comes from. I'll see if I can find it in a second. All right, we're just going to read this. I think I'll find some of it in here. Yeah, Mara Labingi. Thank you. Frodo's name is Mara Labingi, and I love Labingi. That's fun. Yeah, in some old families, especially those of Fallowhide origin, such as the Tukes and the Bolgers, it was, however, the custom to give high-sounding first names. Yeah, no kidding. Fucking Paladin and Peregrine. Get out of here. The names of the Bucklanders were different from those of the rest of the Shire. The folk of the Marish and their offshoot across the Brandywine were in many ways peculiar, as has been told. It was from the former language of the Southern Stoors, no doubt, that they inherited many of their very odd names. These I have usually left unaltered, for if queer now, they were queer in their own day. They had a style that we should perhaps feel vaguely to be Celtic. Yeah, Brie, Coombe, Archet, and Chetwood are modeled on relics of British nomenclature chosen according to sense. Brie for hill, Chet for wood. But only one personal name has been altered in this way. Mariadoc was chosen to fit the fact that this character's shortened name, Callie, meant in the Westron jolly or gay, though it was actually an abbreviation of the now unmeaning Buckland name, Callimac. Callimac Brandegamba. So Tolkien talks like a little bit about Hobbit nomenclature in his letters as well. Yeah, Sam is Bazanir Galpsy or Ban. Bilba Labingi. I'm Bilba Labingi. There is a Belba Baggins, I think, in like Family Tree that we just looked at as well, which is fun. Mm-hmm. The language of Rohan I have accordingly made to resemble ancient English. All right, let's see. Having gone so far in my attempt to modernize and make familiar the language and names of hobbits, I found myself involved in a further process. The Manish languages that were related to the Westron should, it seemed to me, be turned into forms related to English. The language of Rohan I have accordingly made to resemble ancient English, since it was related both more distantly to the common speech and very closely to the former tongue of the northern hobbits, and was, in comparison with the Westron, archaic. The West one. In the Red Book, it is noted in several places that when hobbits heard the speech of Rohan, they recognized many words and felt the language to be akin to their own, so that it seemed absurd to leave the recorded names and words of Rohirrim in a wholly alien style. I hope you can't hear that. My tummy's grumbling. Ooh. Okay, Smeagol and Eagle are equivalents made up in the same way for the names Trahald and Nahald, meaning so Trahald, burrowing or worming in, and Nahald, secret. Ooh. Yeah, Shire equals Sousa. Butterbur, Silbirapa. Smaug is Tregu, and Smeagol is Trahald. Yeah, so Deagle is Nahald, which is secret. Ooh, thank you, Otaris. I appreciate it. Because I'm having a hard time finding it in here. I know it's in here somewhere, but there's a lot of material. Okay, I'm going to read the note on 3 Hobbit names, because this is the end of the appendices before the index, which is a different appendix. All right, Hobbit is an invention. In the Westron, the word used when this people was referred to at all was Bannacle or halfling, but at this date the folk of the Shire and of Bree used the word Kuduk, which was not found elsewhere. Mariadoc, however, actually records that the king of Rohan used the word Kudukan or hole dweller. Since, as has been noted, the hobbits had once spoken a language closely related to that of the Rohirrim, it seems likely that Kuduk was a worn-down form of Kudukan. The latter I have translated, for reasons explained, by Holbitla, and Hobbit provides a word that might well be a well-worn form of Holbitla, if that name had occurred in our own ancient language. Excuse me. And translating these related languages into English and its relatives is there, so Tolkien can justify the dwarves having Old Norse names in The Hobbit. Yes. Yeah, really good. I do like that he was like, hey, here's why I did all that. Put it all in here for us. I just love it, man. All right, Gamgee. According to family tradition set out in the Red Book, the surname Galbassi, or in reduced form Galpsy, came from the village of Galabas, or Galaba, popularly supposed to be derived from Galeb, or game, and an old element ba, more or less equivalent to our wick or witch. Gamwick, or Gamwich, pronounced Gamage, A sandwich, gamage, seemed therefore a very fair rendering. However, in reducing gamagee to gamgee to represent Galpsy, no reference was intended to the connection of Samwise with the family of Cotton, though a jest of that kind would have been hobbit-like enough had there been any warrant in their language. Sure, Jan. Cotton, in fact, represents Hlothran, a fairly common village name in the Shire derived from Hloth, a two-room dwelling or hole, and Ranu, a small group of such dwellings on a hillside. As a surname, it may be an alteration of Hrolthrama or cottager. Hrolthram, which I have rendered Cotman, was the name of Farmer Cotton's grandfather. Yeah, Holman. Whole Cotton. All right, and finally, Brandywine. The Hobbit names of this river were alterations of the Elvish Baranduin, accented on and, derived from Baran, or golden brown, and Duin, or large river. Of Baranduin, Brandywine seemed a natural corruption in modern times. Actually, the older Hobbit name was Brandanin, or border water, which would have been more closely rendered by Markborn. But by a jest that had become habitual, referring again to its color, at this time the river was usually called Braldaheen, or heady ale. It must be observed, however, that when the Old Bucks, or Zaragamba, changed their name to Brandybuck, or Brandagamba, the first element meant borderland, and Markbuck would have been nearer. Only a very bold hobbit would have ventured to call the master of Buckland Braldagamba in his hearing. Yeah, so that's the end of the appendices. Is a note on Brandybucks, which I think is cute. Or a note on 3 hobbit names anyway. Just like a last ninja dust before getting out of there. I used to wonder why the Cottons were named after the cotton fiber. That their name is related to cottage makes more sense. Yeah, I love guessing at etymology and being utterly wrong. And it's really fucking fun that Tolkien laid out a way for us to do that in his canon as well. He's like, here's how everything relates and here's where everything comes from. And I only dipped a toe into it here today because I wanted to focus on Hobbit stuff because next week we're reading The Hobbit. So take your shoes off because we're going to the fucking Lonely Mountain. I'm so excited. So I will see y'all next week for that. I'll let you know when that's happening. And pay no attention to the man behind the curtain because I have to show my YouTube window to end the stream. Thank y'all for coming and hanging out with me. I had fun. This was nice. Nice to just kind of hang out and read. Sorry for all of the silence. I really get lost when I start reading this book. But yeah, can't wait for the Hompin'. So excited. All right. Love y'all. Let's get this fucking window up here. Don't look. Stop looking. Stop. Don't look. Stop it. Don't look. Don't look. Stop.